So, young adventurer, you think you're shit and you want to quit. Well, here's why you're not. That's what the viewers want to see. Hello, you wonderful people, I'm Dracthonia, and I'm here to help you in your pursuit to your best self, one game at a time. Today, I'm going to go over the fact that you want to quit. Yes, you. I'm talking to you. You want to quit being a DM. Well, these are the reasons why you shouldn't. Do remember to like, subscribe, and obey for more D&D goodies. As a relatively new DM myself, I can totally identify with the feeling that you are inferior and really not providing the game that you were planning on giving your players. And if you're anything like me, then there will be moments in the campaigns that you run where you feel like you're the shittest person ever, and also that you're questioning why on earth you thought you could do it. Well, it's okay, because we all do it. We all have those moments. It is part and parcel of the DM experience. Here are a few reasons why I think you shouldn't quit. First and foremost, you're learning. It is a very steep learning curve. It is something new and unusual, and you are dabbling in things that you've never experienced before. It's entirely normal to stumble or to end up feeling like you don't know as much as the more professional or more experienced DMs, and that's okay. You have to start somewhere. They all went through it. You have to too. This is a experience that you should be taking advantage of and enjoying every step of the way. Don't berate yourself for not knowing everything from the start. Otherwise, you'll never get to where you want to go. I myself have anxiety. It's one of those things that pretty much 110% of the time is in my mind telling me how I'm inferior to everyone else and cannot possibly provide the entertainment that other people can, and is constantly comparing myself to others. Now, if you're anything like this, it's important that you focus on the good things to get you through those early phases. Brains are mean, and they will focus on all of the little hiccups and all of the little mistakes. This is why you need to focus really hard on the really good times, like that time that you almost murdered that player. I mean, that time that all of your players left going, this was great, this was an amazing game, can we do more of this? You should be reassured by the fact that your players want to be there, that your players are dedicating however many hours of their month to your game, willing to give you a chance. These are all things that you should be taking as positives rather than negatives. Now, I know for a fact that you are definitely not a bad DM because you clicked on this video. You clicked on this video because you were worried that you were bad at it. Now, I'm here to tell you that because you're worried, that shows that you're a good DM. Any DM that is worth anything is worried about whether or not their players are having a good time and enjoying their campaign. So just the fact that you are feeling that way and looking into how you can improve just shows that you are a good DM. Now, hold on to that need to please your players, because that is entirely what you're there for. You're there to regulate the game, you're there to direct them, and you are there to make sure they're having a good time and that they are taking part in a cooperative game. You're there to basically make sure that all hell doesn't break loose and cause chaos and completely destroy any semblance there is of a game. As far as I can tell, there are very few people that can enter a situation such as DMing and not have imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome basically makes you feel like you're not worthy of the role that you're playing, or that you're less skilled at doing such a role. Now, usually the people that are feeling that way are the ones that are actually make the best DMs, or whatever the best thing is that you're taking part in, because imposter syndrome is not just something that happens with DMing. Lots of people get performance anxiety. Lots of people feel like they're not good enough, and that's okay. You are learning, you are trying, and you care. These are very important things to note down that make a good DM. If you're worried about how you're performing and you're worried about how your players are enjoying the game, then you are on track. You are doing well. One of the number one worries of any DM is that they're forgetting the rules, and that makes them crap. I'm here to tell you that literally everyone, yes, even our Lord and Saviour Chris Perkins, does forget the rules. It's a huge amount of information to take on. You're never going to remember them all. That's why there's a DM board in front of you to remind you about these things. If you don't have a DM board, go get one. They're really good. As I said, even rule creators forget the rules. There are a lot of rules. This is why DM boards are awesome. Using post-it notes to note down anything that is particularly difficult for you to remember. Tabbing D&D Beyond, where there is easy access information for such. Marking your book so that you know where things are when you need to access them quickly, are all methods of making sure that when you're in that situation and you have that panic and all you see is the anxiety building up and trying to consume you, you have handy, colourful post-it notes that jump out at you and go, "Don't worry, I'm here." Our brains have a limited amount of short-term memory and a infinite amount of long-term memory that they mainly dedicate to lyrics to the Spice Girls. You're not going to be able to retain all of that information all of the time, especially if there is time between your games as well. If you remember back to school when you were trying to revise for exams, you can pretty much guarantee that you forget that one piece of information that you looked at 15 times, as opposed to the one that you looked at briefly out of interest and were like, "Oh, yeah, no, that's cool." These are the things that happen with memory. Memory is weird and wonderful and wibbly. So don't fret too much about the fact that you're forgetting rules. It is a game. You have the ability to stop and check your rules and to ask around, because likelihood is your players also remember rules that they are going to use more than you are. Don't be afraid to discuss things and laugh it off. At the end of the day, you're all there to have fun. You're all there to have fun. If anyone is being militant about the fact that you're forgetting rules, if anyone is making you feel like you're inferior for not knowing every single rule, then those are the kind of people that you do not want to be in your game, because they're not healthy for anyone, and it's not going to make a fun experience. One reason that you might feel like you're a bad DM is that you just haven't found your groove yet.
No! You threw off my groove!
With this, it's always good to try a different campaign. Try a bunch of one-shots. Test out any rules that you are maybe considering putting into your main campaign. This is also for players to test out their different character builds that they were thinking about throwing in. This is why one-shots are amazing. You can basically just dabble with the world and play with little bits just to see if it works in the long term, and to find other people's opinions out. See whether or not they like these rules that you're throwing in. Don't worry about going into your first campaign thinking that you haven't perfected who you are, how you want to play, and what it is that you're aiming to do. It's a learning curve. It's going to be one of those experiences that you get more confident with as you go forward. Testing things out and playing around and discussing is part of the DM experience. Use these opportunities to test out what your player and DM dynamic is going to be, like I discussed in a previous video. Testing things out and having fun with it is just part of the joy of being in this game and playing with people that you enjoy playing with. speaking of people that you enjoy playing with, if there are a lot of arguments going on and you're worried how this is basically a reflection of how you are as a DM, arguments are a communication thing, not a skill level thing. You as a DM need to be aware that communication can break down between even the best of friends at any time when it comes to discussing different points of view. And that's okay. That is part of the experience. The game allows you to take these opportunities to discuss different points of view of rules and situations and play styles, and that is entirely within your right to stop a game, to mediate discussions, to take the opportunity to learn from each other and to make your experience as a group more enjoyable in the long term. Often DMs feel like they are not doing a good job when they have a bad session. Bad sessions are going to happen. There are many factors that go into having a good or a bad session. People may not be in the right space for it at that particular time. You may not have been prepared as you previously were. You may have forgotten something that you thought was key. Basically the weather can affect whether or not you have a good day, and you can't take this to heart. Everyone has them. Use it as a learning experience. What is it that particularly you feel went badly? What is it that you can take away from this session to be like, okay, so I can improve it for the next session and make it more enjoyable for everyone? You can always discuss these sessions with your group to find out what it was that they felt it was like. And likelihood is they're not going to feel it went as badly as you did. You are going to be your biggest critic. As the DM, you're going to feel like the weight of the entire campaign is on you. Well, that's not the case. The players are the ones telling the story, and it's a group effort. You need to remember that it's not entirely your responsibility to make every second amazing, action-packed and all-encompassing, and games are a collaborative effort. And if players are judging you, then you need to have a discussion with your players to find out why they're feeling that way. And if you can't work it out, then maybe this isn't the game for them. Maybe they need a different campaign, or maybe you need a different campaign. But groups form and fall apart frequently. You can't take it to heart. Different players have different play styles. There are a lot of factors that come into it, and you can't take this on yourself as a reflection of whether or not you're a good DM. At the end of the day, it is a game. You're there to enjoy yourself. Your players are there to enjoy yourself. And your players are there to enjoy themselves. If you aren't having a fun experience, then you need to explore why that is and what things you can change for the next time. And take the opportunity to include your players in the discussion so that you as a group can have the best experience that you can have. And if you feel like a campaign isn't going your way and you cannot get over any of these situations, then you can always throw them into a fight that they can't come back from and murder them all. And that's the joy of D&D. Okay, thank you guys for watching. I hope that was reassuring and helpful for you. Why not tell me some situations in the comments below that made you feel like you weren't the best DM and how you solved them. If you'd like some help in setting up your first campaign, or even just setting up a new campaign, do join our Discord to get those freebies, as I've mentioned in previous videos. And I hope that you have a good rest of your week. And I'll say bye for now. Say bye, guys! Let.